Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down what's really happening when water gets into your property, and more importantly, how you can navigate the chaos and get back in control.
So let's just start with a simple question. You see a little water stain on your ceiling. What's the big deal, right? Well, that tiny spot can be the tip of a massive, and I mean massive iceberg, because what's happening behind the scenes involves hidden damage, a ticking clock, and some pretty complex science.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the threat itself, then break down where the damage is actually coming from. We'll classify the different types of water, walk through the entire fix, and wrap up with the industry standards that honestly are there to protect you.
First things first, we have to understand why water damage is so incredibly sneaky. It's never just about the puddle you can see. It's all about the environment around it and how that environment can turn a small issue into a full-blown catastrophe.
Now, this is really interesting. Take a place like Metairie, Louisiana, for example. It's kind of the perfect storm for water problems. You're below sea level, you've got clay soil that holds water like a sponge, and you're dealing with crazy high humidity all year round. It's an environment that's basically inviting water damage to happen and spread fast.
And that brings us to this number, 24 to 48 hours. This is the absolute critical window you have after water hits before mold can really start to take hold and grow. And in a humid place, that clock is ticking even faster. Time is just not on your side here. Okay, so we get the threat, but let's look at where all this damage actually begins. The water has to start somewhere, right? And the source can be something dramatic and obvious, or it can be something slow and really sneaky.
Yeah, sure, the danger can come from something huge, like a hurricane. But you know what? More often than not, it's something way more subtle. We're talking about a washing machine hose that finally gives out, a tiny leak under your sink, or even just condensation dripping from your AC unit day after day. And this is the crucial point right here. What happens after the initial leak? It's not the water itself that causes the biggest headaches. It's the secondary damage, the mold, the rotting wood, the warped floors. That's the stuff that creates the real long-term problems if that moisture isn't handled right and right away.
Which, of course, brilliantly illustrates why you need a professional to look at it. You just can't fight what you can't see. Pros use tools like thermal cameras and moisture meters to find out where the water is really hiding, because trust me, it's often inside your walls or underneath your floors where you'd never see it.
All right, now we're going to cover one of the most important concepts in this whole field, because not all water is created equal. The type of water you're dealing with completely changes the game. It dictates everything, from safety gear to the entire cleanup strategy.
This table breaks it all down perfectly. You've got Category 1, which is clean water from like a supply line. Easy enough. Then there's Category 2, gray water, which has some contaminants. Think water from your dishwasher. And then you have Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff. Sewage, floodwaters, and it is seriously contaminated. Each one requires a completely different approach.
So, we figured out the problem, we've categorized the water. Now let's talk about the solution. And there is a solution. This is a science, and professionals follow a very systematic, step-by-step process to get a property back to normal.
The process really has three distinct phases. First, you have to stop the bleeding. That's emergency mitigation. Then, you bring in the heavy-duty equipment for structural drawing. And only when everything is proven to be dry, only then do you move on to restoring and rebuilding.
And it's so important to understand this difference. Mitigation and remediation, that's all about stopping the problem in its tracks and getting rid of the immediate threat. Restoration, well, that's the phase where you actually rebuild everything and make the space livable again. Two very different jobs, but they're totally connected. So, how long does this take? Well, every job is different, of course, but a typical drying process follows a timeline like this. The most important part? That daily monitoring. You can't just guess when something's dry. You have to prove it with data, with readings. Rushing this step is pretty much a guarantee you'll have mold problems later on.
So, how do you actually know the job is being done right and not just by some random person's guesswork? Well, it all comes down to established science-based industry standards. Standards that are there to protect you, the property owner.
The guiding light for any certified professional is this document, the IICRC S500. Think of it like the official rulebook for restoration. It's based on science, and it lays out the exact steps and drying goals that insurance companies recognize and that all certified technicians have to follow. No exceptions.
And you know, following these standards isn't just about doing a good job. It has very real-world consequences. It's what makes sure your insurance claim gets approved
It protects your health by preventing mold, and it safeguards the actual value of your property. It's a big deal.
And if you're dealing with an insurance company, this is the golden rule. Meticulous documentation. We're talking photos, moisture maps, daily logs. It isn't just a nice to have. It is the evidence file. It's what proves the work was needed and done correctly, and it's absolutely non-negotiable if you want to get your claim paid.
So when you boil it all down, a successful recovery from any kind of water damage, big or small, really rests on these three pillars. You have to act with speed, you have to apply the science of drying, and you have to stick to the professional standards.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. The water itself is just the trigger. The real enemy here, the biggest threat to your property, is the clock. Understanding this process we've just walked through, that's the first and most important step to being ready to act when every second counts.